Alrighty, getting ready here to record.
What are you doing? We're recording.
We're recording.
Yes, we're recording.
Ah.
Yeah, you're just wasting time rubbing your face. Come on.
Alright,
Yeah, can we do this?
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, great.
What's up, Fragrant World? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. I got another list for you guys. I have all these list ideas I'll be bringing you, and this is a really exciting series. It's probably only going to be 2 parts unless I think of another part, but we're talking about my top 10 fragrances in terms of the best openings. When you first spray it on, that initial spray that hits you and captivates you. These are my favorites in terms of my collection, the ones that really captivate me, and I spray it on and I'm just immediately transported and again captivated by the scent. Now these might be different for you. You might not care about some of these openings, but for me, I love them. And if there's some of these you haven't checked out, then hopefully this is some good recommendations for fragrances that you can use to capture your attention or those around you when you first spray it on. Now, when I say that these have the best openings, I'm not trying to imply that these fragrances don't have nice dry downs. A lot of them do, but for me, the opening is my favorite part. That's all it is. The dry down's good too, but the opening's what stands out. So, enough blabbing, let's dive in. I actually have 11 fragrances, not 10, 11. Why? Because why not? I couldn't leave one off. I was deciding between 2 and I just said, let me just throw them both in there. So let's jump in. We have a Creed fragrance. Maybe you wouldn't expect to see Creed at number 10, but hey, it's still a great opening and it's still on this list out of all the fragrances I own. This is Royal Water. All right. This is one that is often slept on, overlooked, underappreciated. And again, I understand why in relation to the rest of the Creed line in terms of their fresh scents. It is kind of basic and it's also strangely vintage smelling in a way. It's still kind of modern, but it has this kind of old school flair to it in the background. And what really captures me with this is that citrus, basil, and mint combo. It is so bright and fresh and watery and invigorating when you spray it on. It's beautiful. And once that mint dries down and kind of disappears, it's still really good. It just becomes a little bit more herbaceous, a little less fresh, a little bit more musky as it dries, but still really nice, beautiful opening. Like, wow, a wow opening for me. When I first sprayed this on in a Nordstrom, I put it on a paper and I was like, whoa. I was immediately drawn in, had to get a bottle. And one of my favorite openings, that's Creed Royal Water. We have a slightly cooler weather scent. Not a super heavy hitter in terms of performance, but still a great scent for the autumn, the time that we're in now that I'm shooting this. Another overlooked fragrance from the House of Mont Blanc. This is Legend Night. And yet again, this is nothing special, and I think that's why it's overlooked. It's kind of in the realm of like your sweet and fresh and aromatic, but also kind of oriental fragrances, especially on the designer side, like Armani Code, Profumo, and things like that. When you first spray it on, I'm going to spray it in the air, just so I can remind myself of this opening. Man, it's so nice. It's a fresh lavender with some apple and some very sweet tonka bean kind of somewhere down there. It's really nice. It's very mass appealing. People are gonna love this when you first spray it on. In that first hour when you're wearing this fragrance, you're gonna turn heads. It smells fantastic. Again, just not unique. So if you're looking for uniqueness, it's not here, but this opening is beautiful. Try it on your skin and see what you think. It may not last long, but that first hour will be fantastic. Here at number 9, from the house of Martin Margiela, a fragrance that I love and I've talked about a lot over the years, but haven't talked about a ton lately. It's in the Barbershop Fougere vein. That should give it away there. But there's some other barbershop fragrances I've been coming across that I'm liking a little bit more than this one, but still a fantastic opening, and that is At the Barber's from Margiela once again. And man, when you first spray this on, it's fresh and creamy, a little bit sweet, It's herbaceous, it's spicy, citrusy, all at once. That all just comes barreling into your nose, and it is so pleasant. It makes you smile. And as it dries, you kind of lose a little bit of the freshness. It stays pretty creamy and sweet, but the leather comes out and it makes it a little bit more masculine smelling. But that opening is where it's at. Man, every time I spray it on, if you smell it from the sprayer, from the atomizer, you get mainly the dry down here. I smell a lot of leather and you're like, And so a lot of times I would do that. I was like, do I want to wear this today? I'd smell it. I'm like, no, not really. And I put it down. But sometimes like, let me actually spray it. And once you spray it, I'm immediately reminded, oh man, I love this opening. So that's At the Barber's. Here's number 8, from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. This is a special one. This is one of the fragrances that really got me hooked into fragrances and got me started in learning more about them and collecting, and even ultimately creating this YouTube channel. The OG for me, this is L'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent. And the reason why this is so special is that when I sprayed this in store, this is one of maybe 3 fragrances I've ever sprayed in a store for the first time, where I bought it right there. All right, now this was the first one, so the bar wasn't very high. Not saying this is a bad fragrance, but I hadn't really smelled much of anything, so I was easy to please, I guess you could say, but I don't think so. There's a lot of fragrances I smelled that day that I didn't really care for, but I sprayed this on a paper, smelled it, and I was like, I need this. This is so elegant, I gotta have it, I bought it. And to this day, I still love this opening. It's so bright and fresh with that ginger. It's sweet and creamy with some tonka bean in there. It has some vetiver. It's so elegant, it's so gentlemanly, so likable. Not incredible, but very likable. No one can dislike this scent. So that's L'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent. Here is number 7. I almost left this off, but I'm like, no, I gotta put this on here. I've been loving this opening. Every time I spray it on, I'm still wearing it, even though it's cooling down. I wear this to work a lot. This is the original Tommy for Men from Tommy Hilfiger. A creation by the legendary Alberto Morillas. And man, this is a beautiful scent. If you did not really grow up in the 90s, you probably won't care for this fragrance very much. It's very 90s. It has that very clean and fresh and aquatic feel. You imagine, like when I smell this fragrance, I think of Neo from The Matrix with those kind of thinner sunglasses, real dark, clean cut. That's a very 90s look. And this scent goes perfectly with that in my mind. Again, if you didn't grow up in the 90s, you won't care. But a lot of mint, apple, I believe is in this. Other citruses as well. It has an herbaceous feel to it. It's kind of aquatic, but not really. It's just very sweet and fresh and bright. Again, a little herbaceous. Apparently there's cactus in here, which I don't really smell, but beautiful scent. Perfect for just about all year round, but really shines in the spring and summer. Great for the opening. It stays pretty linear when it dries. So as I guess you could say, you get the opening almost all the way through, but it's not as bright and present as it dries. But still, fantastic scent. Tommy Hilfiger for Men. Here's number 6, a fragrance I reviewed several months ago when it came out. This is Vanilla Vibes from Juliet Has a Gun. Oh man, I actually haven't worn this in a little while. But man, when you spray this on, you're hit with this like fresh vanilla. It's kind of almost dusty and airy and transparent, has a touch of this saltiness to it. It's such an interesting take on vanilla. And again, that first spray is gorgeous. I spray it on, my eyes immediately close, my head goes back. I'm just like, wow. Man, so great. Again, I haven't been wearing it much lately as it's cooled down. It is one that you can wear all year round. This is meant to be worn in the summer. It's kind of supposed to depict that vibe of being out in Burning Man, perhaps out in the desert somewhere, but great scent, great opening, great dry down too, but the opening's my favorite part. That's Vanilla Vibes. All right, we're into the top 5. This is a controversial one. This one is very polarizing. Either you love this opening or you hate it. Kind of simple as that. And this is from Creed. Once again, it's Silver Mountain Water. Now this is one for me that I used to hate and then grew to love. That opening, it's so unusual. It's super fresh and almost minty and again, kind of watery in a way and musky and a little sweet, but it has this touch of a metallic vibe to it, and even some people say an inky vibe as well. All kind of thrown in there, the tea, the black currant, I think there's bergamot in there. It's so fresh, it's so picturesque. When you spray this on, it paints a picture, at least in my mind. And I've talked about this in other videos, but again, some people absolutely hate it. It's just strange, but you know, when it dries down, it becomes very likable for most people. I think most people are drawn to the dry down of this scent more so than the opening. I find the dry down pretty good, but the opening I've really grown to love, and I really appreciate it every time I spray it on. That is Silver Mountain Water. Here at number 4, you can hear that. This is number 4. This is from the House of Montal, a relatively new fragrance to my collection, and in general, this came out this year. I haven't reviewed it. Again, I probably won't. We'll see, unless you guys really want to see a dedicated review. I've only worn this a couple times, but man, this opening, if you love coffee, you'll love this. This is Ristretto Intense Cafe. And they boosted up the coffee in this over the rose as compared to the original Intense Cafe. You also get vanilla, I think, and caramel in this. It's so rich and succulent, and again, that coffee note, it's a roasted coffee when you spray it on. It's a sweet roasted coffee with a slight envelope of soft rose around it. It's a little creamy. It's strong too. This stuff is powerful. Really powerful stuff. It's an extrait de parfum, as with all the fragrances from the house, and it will last all night. Beautiful night out scent when you want to be a little bit more elegant. It's a little unusual. Some people may not be super keen on smelling like coffee, but it's more than that. It's a beautiful gourmand scent. I love this one, and that opening is so realistic, and that's what I love about it. That's Ristretto Intense Cafe. It's supposed to be French, not Italian, I think, but anyway. Here at number 3, this is another slightly unusual one unless you are a big fan of boozy, woody fragrances. This is a strange mix of notes, one of the most unique fragrances in my collection from the house of Nichane. It's Fan Your Flames. And when you spray this on, I'm gonna spray it in the air. It's probably gonna be in my apartment for the rest of the day, but let's do it. I don't wanna get it on me because I'm not wearing this. Man. It's such a strange mix. You get this like tropical drink on top of a dark woodiness. All right, that's the best way I can describe it. If you can imagine, like, you have this cedar wood bucket or cedar wood cup, like actual wood, fresh, dark, dry cedar wood with a coconut, some kind of coconut cocktail in it. That's what this smells like. You get lots of rum, lots of coconut. Again, cedar wood, you get tonka bean. There's some oak moss in here. And there's even some tobacco as well. It's sweet, but it is, again, woody and dark and boozy, super boozy, at least when you spray it on. That's my favorite part. The opening, that rum note, man. It's not the type of rum where you smell like you just had rum. It's just a rum that kind of just smells so interesting. You're like, man, that's really interesting. And I've never gotten compliments with this fragrance, but I think it's one of those fragrances that when people smell it on you and you are wearing the right amount, not too much, then they'll be like, man, that smells really interesting. But they may not say anything, but I think they like it. So that is Fan Your Flames. Man, the Fan Your Flames is still in the room. It smells wonderful. Anyway, moving forward, La Nuit de l'Homme. Couldn't keep this off the list. This opening is really something special, and I think it took the fragrance industry, especially the designer side, it took it by storm when this was released back in 2009. Man, that mix of fresh lavender with bergamot, so it's bright and aromatic, even a little spicy, but the spice is also coming from cardamom. It has this vanilla touch to it, but there's no vanilla in here. I think there might be caraway in here as well, which I think is also a spice. But man, it's one of those fragrances that for me, the note breakdown has never fully explained why it smells the way it does, which leads me to believe that perhaps there are some either aroma chemicals or other ingredients in here that are not listed or not normally discussed. But it's the most sexiest fragrance I've smelled from the designer realm, in my opinion. I know it's been out for 10 years now. Gosh, I just never get tired of it. And that opening, that mix of fresh and aromatic with spicy, sweet, it's so sensual. It gets me every time. I never get tired of this opening. So that is La Nuit de l'Homme. And number one, this is one I'm gonna have to spray because every time I've featured this on camera, I've sprayed it and my reaction is, we're talking about Scandal. Then this is the Parfum Cologne. I just reviewed this. You can check that out up here. And man, from the house of Roger Parfums, I was talking with a subscriber and a friend here in the community, and he had mentioned that Scandal is reminiscent of Dior Eau Sauvage, the Eau de Toilette, and I totally agree with that. It has this old school vibe from it. You get that really bright, zesty lemon on top of this green kind of mossiness and woodiness. It is in that vein, but this has a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more going on over Eau Sauvage. So I'm gonna spray this in the air, not on my skin, because again, I'm not wearing this today. Alrighty. I don't know how you make an opening like this. Raja Dove uses some of the best combo of lemon and bergamot I think I've really smelled in most fragrances that I've smelled. It's a very classic combination, but it's done so well here. It's so effervescent and bright, but it is kind of in that barbershop style. It has a creaminess to it, a slight sweetness to it, a little bit of a dryness to it as well. A beautiful fougere, so classy, will turn heads. I've already gotten compliments with this fragrance. I've had people tell me like, man, you just changed the whole vibe in the room when you walked in with this fragrance on. This stuff is good. I know I received this for free. I acknowledge that. I am so grateful for that. So thank you to the house. I know this is not the cheapest fragrance. I'm not trying to hype it up and say this is the best thing ever. I'm just saying I feel grateful for having received this, and I just so happen to really love it because there's a lot of fragrances I receive for free that I don't really care for. Some of them I review, some of them I don't. And when I do review them, I try to be transparent and say, I like this, but not as much as this, or so on and so forth. There's things about it I may not like, but I have yet to find something about Scandal that I don't like, and I especially do not dislike anything about this opening. So that's Scandal from Roger Parfums. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching the list. I'm going to be doing a top 10 best dry downs list as well for you guys. I already have the list planned out. I'll shoot it at some point and I'll release it later on. I want you to tell me your favorite opening in a fragrance. The one fragrance in your collection you spray it on every single time it captivates you without fail. It gives you that same feeling in your body. It's a visceral experience when you spray it on. Let me know that one fragrance. You know the deal. Let's talk about it. If you like the video, then let me know. Show me a like. And if you have yet to subscribe to the channel and you like what you see, then I hope you consider subscribing. It costs you nothing but a little bit of finger work. Just click that button and I'll handle the rest. Don't even worry. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.